Welcome to Finding Emo, our podcast where we talk about our favorite albums from the early aughts and thereabouts. I am Blake Fisher. This is Kyle Simmons, and this is Chris Monnier. And today we are talking about the Get Up Kids 2004 album entitled Guilt Show.
Yeah.
I did a little bit of research for this record. I'm going to tell you about it. There's actually a lot of information on Wikipedia and other places about this record and the Get Up Kids in general. I think it's mostly due to they seem to have been, a lot of it was like a lot of the sources were like newer magazine articles with retrospectives to albums and stuff like that. So there's a surprising amount of information about the Get Up Kids where sometimes we look up some bigger band and there's like hardly anything on it. I don't know what the pattern is there, but anyway, there's quite a bit of information. But record was released July 6, 2004. This is the follow-up to On a Wire, which didn't do very well. Basically, it didn't get great critical reception. I didn't like it.
No, it's the Vagrant Curse. Like every time they were like, all right, this is the album we're going to push. It's going to be the big one. And it never panned out. Well, it did for a few artists.
They were...
Saves the Day and Get Up Kids.
Right. Yeah. But, you know, so it's basically, you know, obviously, why did I just draw a blank on the record before that? The big one. Something to Write Home About. Successful, like kind of like literally helps Vagrant become a label. And so
that was a very important
to Vagrant Records. Big deal. On a Wire doesn't quite work. I think that we don't have to get into the weeds of it, but the general consensus is like they were trying to do some stuff that just they weren't quite figuring out. And I think they had some more sort of inner turmoil going on during that record.
That's when James was starting the Reggie stuff, because Reggie's timeline is like, Reggie in the Full Effect for those that don't know. Reggie's timeline is like 1998.
No, but what happened, I thought the timeline was he did the Reggie in the Full Effect thing. Some of the guys played on that record with him, and then they were like, why don't you come be in the Get Up Kids too? I thought that's what happened.
I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure that's the timeline. Is like, I think it was the Pryor brothers, the two brothers that are in Get Up Kids, played on the Reggie record, or at least one of those or something, and then they had him come, because he was in...
So James wasn't in the Get Up Kids before then?
He was in on the, what's the, Red Letter? Is that the
Red Letter
thing?
Day EP?
Yeah, on that EP, I think was the thing he was in for. I might be wrong about this. I say there was lots of information, and now I might have timelines
But
wrong.
that was before, we'll see. It went Something to Write Home About, Red Letter Day EP, On a Wire, Guilt Show.
Right, but what I'm saying is I thought...
Oh, it predates...
I'm saying Reggie predates...
Yeah, Reggie predates this record.
And predates... I think Reggie predates...
the EP.
Yeah.
Anyway. I get what you mean. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
So, anyway, On a Wire, not very successful. I know even as Get Up Kid fans, we didn't really like it. I wanted to revisit it before recording this.
Yeah.
And I
too.
didn't get to. So,
The single's good.
Well, yeah, I mean, it had a few good songs on it, but I just remember it feeling not like the Get Up Kids.
So some quick research.
Okay, thank you.
I think I've cleared up the timeline, and I think it could be part of the problem.
Okay.
So Something to Write Home About, 99.
Correct.
Then...
I need the ding sound on here.
Ding, ding. But everything else in between, basically Reggie started right when they were doing that stuff. He was experimenting.
Okay.
So I wonder if it started to take precedent. You know what I mean?
Could have.
So did he play on Something to Write Home About?
Yeah.
He's referenced in the book?
Yeah, he's on it.
And so obviously everything in between Red Letter Day and Woodson, and
I was just pretty sure that Reggie was before, like,
you're right.
Him working on Reggie stuff was before.
You're right.
Yeah,
but I'm speculating.
Yeah.
That On a Wire, maybe it was like, dude, let those Reggie songs be Get Up Kid songs.
Right, because he does write some good tunes.
Definitely.
Yeah. No, he's got hooks.
Great tunes. So anyway, On a Wire, not very successful commercially or really critically, and a lot of fans felt like the thing I kind of read over and over again is like a lot of people considered Something to Write Home About like the only emo album from Get Up Kids, which I hate that people try to put some label on a band like they can't evolve. You know, that's pretty dumb in my opinion. But you know, most people didn't like On a Wire. It was probably too big of a departure. And I remember it feeling a little discombobulated. Maybe that's I need to revisit it. It's unfair that I probably didn't before talking about it like I am right now. But anyway, we're just going to say On a Wire, not great. So it kind of, there's a big hiatus between those two, because that was like 2001, I think.
Yeah, it definitely felt really long back then.
Yeah, and then it was like 3 years
such a
before
big
this
part of that
comes out,
scene.
right? And there's a lot that happens in between that record and this. Mostly that two of the guys have pretty bad divorces, and which is where most of the lyrical content for this record comes from.
What's the timeline on them signing to BMG? Or was that just Vagrant getting purchased?
No, I think that was On a Wire.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
On a Wire was their major label, and then they got
Okay.
dropped after that.
Right.
And they're back to Vagrant for this, I think, right?
No, this is BMG.
No, this is BMG still. So they didn't get dropped. Okay. Never mind. That's what it was. It was that On a Wire was their major label debut.
I see.
That's what the difference
Okay.
was. It was their debut. It didn't do super well, so I don't think there was a lot of appetite to like do another one really quickly or something. So, two of them, two of them go through divorces. One of them is not Matt, the singer, but he basically just writes all these
like, "Here you
songs
go."
from his friend's point of view that have gone through this kind of stuff. It's the first one that they didn't really write and record together either. So part of that is that that James
It's hard not to do.
was
Reggie.
doing Reggie stuff and was kind of focusing, like he's one of them that got divorced,
Yeah.
and he kind of focused
Yeah.
all of his effort into what's the
get
name of the
divorced.
record? Songs Not to Get Married
Yeah,
to.
songs not to get
Isn't
married
there like
to.
a house on fire on
Yes.
the cover? Yeah.
So
Little
all
on the
of,
nose, James.
all of his creative effort went into that. All of his divorce sadness went into Songs Not to Get Married to. And basically it becomes the Pryor brothers and not the Pryor, Matt Pryor and what are the
Popes.
brothers? Pope. I'm getting mixed up in P names. Sorry. The Pope brothers and Matt Pryor basically write most of this record together, the three of them. And then it's kind of this weird thing of like, all right, this guy will come in and do, and then James comes in and does amazing keys
dude.
on this record. I mean, it's so good, the keys that he does on this, but he wasn't really that involved in which is why there's not a song with him. Well, he does sing on, I guess, a couple parts, but he's not, you can
wasn't
tell
as
there's not a James
integral as-
Dewey song
yeah.
on the record like there is on the other ones. And so it's kind of a weird writing process. They had bought with their advance from BMG, they bought the studio in Lawrence that, what's it called? God, I forget the freaking name of the studio now.
Black something?
It's
Redstone?
Well, is Black Watch is Norman.
That's
it's something. Anyway, so Ed Rose is like the guy that owned it. So they bought it and he produces it, and so they kind of like own the space basically, which is probably an amazing way to make a record is to basically own the studio,
Just do what you want.
and be
yeah.
able to like you're paying your producer and engineer and stuff like that, but you're like you can go in there anytime or whatever.
Red House.
Yeah, I knew there's a color.
Yep.
Okay. So they bought the studio. So they've got the studio space, which I think really gives a lot of character to this record.
Yeah.
Like I think the drum sounds and piano sounds, you can really kind of hear those rooms in and stuff. So
You can take all the time you want.
all time you want kind of
Your
thing. And
studio.
so,
Go home, go to bed, come back.
and then, so they were like, there was also like internal conflict just because like some people like didn't really want to be on the road as much as they had been. I mean, that's what eventually leads after this album to the breakup of the band is that, I mean, I now know why I probably have never seen the Get Up Kids live is because at the time that I would have, everyone was telling me how they weren't very good live because basically Matt Pryor did not want to be on tour anymore. He has a baby at home. Or no, so he has like a 3-year-old and another one on the way, and they're like in Australia. And I guess he just had like a breakdown and was like,
Understandable.
he was just like not singing for half of the songs and stuff like that. And they had this confrontation. So anyway, it was not a great situation that these guys were in.
God, that would piss me off if I wasn't up
Same.
front. I'd be like,
Listen here, dude.
you're already here. Just
You're
sing.
here to sing. It's not going to make any difference.
It's not gonna make your kid any less lonely.
That's probably just great. This is
That's
why
when I get kicked out of the band.
This is why I can't imagine why we had fights sometimes in the band, Chris, with other members back in the day. It's because you said things basically just like that. Not that other people weren't at fault too. I'm not saying that.
Only thing better than an absent father is a failure of a father.
One
But
that
go
sucks at
ahead.
singing.
Keep singing.
So anyway, I never saw them live because probably they were crappy at the time. Everyone was telling me they're a crap live band because half the band didn't want to be there, and so anyway, so it kind of turns into, so this is kind of the final record we get before the breakup, and they eventually do get back together and make more records, but a couple more. But you know, as far as like heyday of Get Up Kids, this is kind of the beginning of the very end kind of thing. And it's even, I guess, was kind of weird. It sounds like the recording process was kind of like there was some bad blood there too, because it was like, I assume the other guys were like, well, we're making a record whether you're here or not, other two guys. One guy was just on his honeymoon for a long time, so it's not like that was a begrudging thing, but I'm sure your priorities change, right? Sometimes when you get married or have kids and things. So, so anyway, they make this record, and Ed Rose produces it. Interesting thing that I did not know, and I don't know how I didn't realize this, Chris. So the Pope brothers were in Kofax before Nate was.
Really?
How did I not ever know that?
Wait, Nate
Harold, our buddy that we hung out with.
Nate. Okay, sorry.
That Nate.
We were talking about the format
Different
earlier.
Nate.
I was like, whoa, what?
Although he was in Fun then too, which is weird.
Yes,
But yeah.
these are all connected.
It's all really a lot of people. But I never knew that the Get Up Kids members had anything to do with Kofax.
Well, all those bands are so interconnected.
Right. If they're all borrowing from each other.
We played with them one time at the Knitting Factory.
A
and it
few
was
times.
Nate, and John was tour managering for
Yes.
them. But I don't know why I didn't recognize the Pope brothers.
Nate basically was the new bassist
'cause
after
the
they left.
because they left Kofax. Okay.
Yeah, probably to be in the Get Up Kids more or tour. I don't know, whatever the deal was. Anyway, I never knew that they were in Kofax. Kofax was
That was
great
the thing
band,
about
though.
Vagrant bands. You would always see them in an iteration that wasn't the iteration you'd fell in love with on the record. It'd be
Probably, yeah.
I think, Hot Rod Circuit was the only band that I remember seeing in their prime. Like, well,
He's on this record too, by the way.
No kidding.
Yeah. Which these are things I didn't know.
Well, even Saves the Day, by the time, if you didn't see him Stay What You Are era, all the guys are gone.
Is Chris the only guy left in the band at that point?
Yeah, because even everybody leaves after In Reverie.
Boo. Also,
I can't wait. We got to do that record.
Also, what's weird to
But
me
we'll have to
is
listen
like,
to it.
So James clearly has some evil genius going on because, like, My Chemical Romance, he's at one point a member, and the same with Newfound Glory.
I didn't know that.
He was a member of
He
Newfound
must
Glory.
be a righteous hang.
Oh, dude, he's got to be a good
he was in My Chem, like just touring with him?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they made him an official
Yeah, he was a member.
I did not ever know this.
Was he official member on the record? The
Black Parade, I thought.
Yeah.
He's like
I thought it was
on
the
the
next one.
artwork?
No, I think he's the next one.
No.
Yeah, no, he...
Uh,
It's
don't
probably the
think-
third one.
I don't think he was ever like in pictures or on Slicks.
Oh, okay, but he was
he was a member.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense for the third one because it's got. I never knew that. But again, going back to a previous conversation about liner notes not existing.
Actually, I'm gonna
Look that up and make sure.
You guys chat.
But there's a lot of there's a lot of synth stuff on that third My Chem record. I say third, you know what I'm talking about.
This one-
Danger Days.
yeah,
whatever.
the red hair Gerard.
Yeah. I like that we've got different versions. It's smart. We can now identify.
Holy
When he had pink
smokes.
hair.
Okay.
Okay.
In
Educate us.
In 2007, he joined My Chemical Romance as their touring keyboardist, becoming an official member, albeit for a short period of time in 2012, until the band split in 2013. He had written upwards of 30 songs for their fifth album before the band's decision to split. How can I get my hands
I want
on
those
this?
demos.
Wow.
I would
30
love a My
songs.
Kim James Dewey's
They were the
collab.
biggest emo band in the world at that time.
So wait, did he play on Danger Days though?
No.
Okay, because that would have made sense to me.
That
Fake
was
Your
like
Death.
2009,
And maybe that's why
2010.
they were looking for a keyboardist.
Probably.
So the new song that came out on the Greatest Hits, the Fake Your Death, he played on that.
Okay.
But I don't know if he wrote it. Wow, dude. Released as part of the band's Greatest Hits album, made Death Never Stop You in 2014, marking the band's only official track featuring Dewey's. Wow.
I would love to hear this, and I think they should get back together to
Maybe
make an
that's
album
why-
just for the heck of it.
That would be depressing. Because now he's been in like 3 bands that were right on the cusp of,
and didn't.
Wait, what was the other one?
well,
My
Get Up
Chemical
Kids.
Romance, Get Up Kids, Newfound Glory.
Oh, Newfound Glory. Yeah,
Well,
that was
and
the one
Reggie
that
the
you
Full Effect.
And Reggie.
Well, right.
I mean,
But Reggie was always kind of like a.
no, dude, they
Was it
they
big?
pushed him big.
Okay, they did, okay.
Congratulations, Smacking
Yeah,
Katie. They
totally.
did like a whole
Okay.
video under the
I do
train.
remember-
One of the best videos.
I guess now that you say that, I discovered Reggie in Full Effect from a sampler
Yeah.
that got handed like
No,
at a
they
Warped Tour or something.
they gave him the big push for Under the Tray.
He's a great songwriter.
Oh,
Well, Anyway, he
James.
wasn't really part of the songwriting much on this record, oddly enough, because like I said, he was just doing his Reggie,
Yeah.
his
Reggie.
happy don't get married to these songs thing. So anyway, that becomes kind of the thing. The Guilt Show Namaker was someone misread a like flyer for a quilt show. They thought it said Guilt Show, and they were like, "Well, what's that about?"
That's amazing.
And it just kind of became like that's actually what this record might be about, and so that's why they called it Guilt Show, which I think is a pretty great little story.
I love it.
I mean, I always just thought it went hand in hand with like obviously what was going on in the lyrics. So it's so funny to me that it was just a funny misreading of something, and that they were like, that actually fits pretty well.
That's perfect.
Not a lot of albums that don't like have a title that is nowhere on the record.
Yeah.
Right? I don't see that a lot unless it's like songs in the key of A minor or whatever.
Right.
Or songs in the key of life. But
Stevie.
yeah, but what's Alicia Keys? Isn't hers A minor? What is hers is similar. It's like a sort of an homage to that, right?
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean Stevie's is songs in the key of life, but anyway, which is a great freaking album title name. Good job, Stevie Wonder. Did you know, like, by the way, random Stevie Wonder fact that I did not really realize until I read it on the internet? He was like 19 or 20 years old when he like wrote and recorded Superstition.
Oh yeah, he was.
That's pretty good.
He's a child prodigy. I mean, I knew he was.
Yeah, in the days of prime Motown, he was.
He was like 9.
young.
He was 9.
Yeah.
Can you imagine he wrote
yeah.
he was 19 and he played like almost all the instruments on it. That's just a phenomenal level of talent.
Songs in A minor.
Songs in A minor.
Yeah,
I was right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, sort of a tribute, I would say. That's
tribute.
definitely a tribute
Yeah.
to Stevie, right? There's no way it's not. You're a piano player.
Right.
It's got to be. Anyway, so that's kind of where we land with kind of the making of this record. And so let's get into it, right?
Let's do it.
Okay, Kyle, first impressions.
I don't remember my first impression of this record.
I should've-
I have no recollection of it coming out. Like, I'm not saying I'm not familiar with it, but like, I love Reggie, and I love the Get Up Kids, and so it all kind of
Blurs.
I'm not sure.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But you like it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Just after now that you
Pass.
Yeah,
Hard pass.
I will not
I
answer
only
that.
have a third impression.
No, I just don't remember my first impression. I definitely like it, but I've always been. There's something about bands with synthesizer, you know,
that you
that I hate.
Yeah, I was like, wait.
No,
I
I'm
was
saying
like,
like
that Blur.
No, my favorite, Motion
Oh, you
City.
like it. Okay, I
I
get it.
love
Okay.
it. I
okay.
like it's hard for I
He just like kind of
I
paused at the most important part of that statement. I was like, wait,
I don't
what?
like to finish my
The way-
sandwiches.
Spaghetti, yeah.
the way you paused though, I was about to be like, I thought
Guys,
you were gonna say no, and I was like, dude, there are synthesizers all over your stuff.
I thought you and that's why I thought it was implied. I love
Yeah.
I
no,
love
in hindsight, you
I
just
love-
had us hanging on your every word. That's all.
pop punk, power pop, any of that rock with a synthesizer.
Give me a synth.
I'm in.
What's funny is I used to not like synthesizers. I think because
I know.
for the most part they were done in poor taste. I feel like there was a lot of bad stuff.
Is
from
it
the
because
80s.
of sticks?
No, it's because of the token synthesizer.
Yeah.
It's when you just have a song and you're like, let's just add a synthesizer so we have like a cool shtick.
from the 80s,
Yes.
essentially,
Just-
because that was the instrument, so you had to have a synthesizer
Gotcha.
synthesizer on everything. And I think it got a little lazy. Plus, I think I was like, I think I probably got a little bit influenced by like Tom Petty and Benmont Tench being like anti-synth and drum machine
Sure.
in my childhood. And so, anyway, but now I love synths. Now,
Good stuff.
a well placed.
when they're well done, but synths are
Tasteful
really
synth.
hard to do well. Really hard.
Like a tasteful nude. It's got to be just right.
Gotta be tasteful, right? Just a little side boob.
Yeah.
No tacky synth.
No tacky stuff. Yeah, the stuff in the 80s was like not. I mean, some of it was great, and I appreciate more of it now. Like I listen and go, oh, okay, that's some cool stuff. That's some cool stuff. But some of it was just straight up like, let's just find the most obnoxious preset on this thing and play it. And there's no like fine tuning of it. But the people that like fine tune it, I love a good like synth bass, especially. Like I'm all about it. It just hits in a different way
Definitely.
that I'm into. So, Chris, what about you? First impressions of this record, if you remember it.
Of course I remember it.
Okay.
We have the same first impression, right?
I would imagine, yeah.
We're driving through Kansas.
Yeah.
Cloudy day.
Whoa,
I don't remember the
Hold on
clouds.
1 second. You're driving through the Get Up Kids' home state.
Yep. just a coincidence.
Please continue.
Yeah.
It is right above us, to
Yeah.
be fair. We had to drive through it a lot.
Yeah. So we were driving through, and we put the first song in, and we were like, "Yes, they're back! They're back!"
Yes.
Like, we were so excited. We were like, "Thank God this isn't weird."
You got to understand how nervous we were after On a Wire.
Yeah.
Like, because it wasn't that great, right?
The whole band was like, we were all like cheering in the van, like, "Oh, thank God!" Yeah.
They're back.
Yeah.
They're back.
Yeah, and it was like I literally do not remember the clouds, but I believe you. But I mean, I do remember being like, whew, like, wow, what a relief.
Yeah.
That it's like, because that we'll talk about when we go track by track. But I mean, that first track is great, and it felt like, oh, this is On a Wire did not, like I said, need to listen to it again. It didn't feel like the Get Up Kids for some reason. It just didn't work right for me for something. But right out of the gate, right off of the gate, it was like, oh, this is the Get Up Kids. It's kind of back, which is weird now hearing back that like they didn't really write it as a band and it wasn't really like a cohesive, like we all did it.
It was their major label debut?
No, On a Wire was their major label.
I'm for this. The weird one.
But that's what I'm saying. The weird one. Like, that's so weird.
I think it was just a bad combination of a lot of things, I'm sure. Who knows? You know, sometimes you make a dud. It's hard to follow up an album that kind of makes you successful. Sometimes it's kind of like their sophomore album, basically.
Yeah, and a lot of these guys, you know, Saves the Day in Reverie is their fourth record.
Yep.
You know, for them, On the Wire was, is that 3?
Yeah.
4.
Well, see, yeah, it's their third.
Yeah.
Wait, did you say In Reverie?
Oh, no, sorry. In Reverie was Saves the Day's fourth record. This was the Get Up Kids' third
record with an EP in there
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So you've written all these songs. I mean,
yeah.
And now you have all this pressure on you, and you're like, oh man, use my good stuff already. Like, what do we?
Yeah.
So it ends. I remember really liking it and being like amped that it was because I wanted to like the Get Up Kids record.
Yeah.
Like I really liked. Something to Write Home About and the EPs. The EP is actually the thing that I heard first
EPs
of them.
great.
You know, that was the first thing I found.
Stuff's on their EPs.
It's one of those things where either I can't remember how I got. It might have just been browsing the store that I was at and like listened to it, like or someone just said, check out the Get Up Kids or something. So that the EP was actually the first thing I heard before something to Write Home About. So I was super amped to have them back, and it's pretty clear from the very first track that it's like the Get Up Kids, but it's not. I think it's a more mature record. I think it sounds great without being overproduced. Yeah. Like it sonically sounds wonderful, which really Something to Write Home About. We did that record before. It doesn't sound wonderful. It's not.
Drums.
The drums are bad. The guitars are out of tune sometimes.
So bad.
He became a much better vocalist.
Oh, definitely.
Much better.
Yeah.
On this record specifically, and really the one before too. His vocals were much better on a Wire too. He was a little abrasive sometimes before that, honestly.
Yeah.
On the what's the record with the track people on the front?
The debut. What
Something Mile.
Yeah.
Yes, 4 Minute Mile.
4 Minute Mile.
Yeah, there's sometimes it's like
it's not.
He had his voice, but he's still just fine tuning, singing it perfect because he's got such a unique.
It takes
voice.
practice like everything else, and you've got to kind of. And you know, we talk about Jim Atkins the same way. Right, it's like that early stuff was just like not very pleasant. I think he's got a fantastic voice that I love now. So anyway, I think that it was nice to have like, oh, this feels like the Get Up Kids. It feels like they're maturing. I think James' stuff on it is genius, like great keyboard parts and stuff all over the place. So my first impressions were like a sigh of relief. Yeah. Because it's like it's a bummer when you really like a band and you start a record and you're like, and you like try to convince yourself you like it and you listen to it a few times and you're like,
we call that the Phantom Menace effect.
Oh, the Phantom Menace. Yeah, that's
this is good.
It was good, right? Oh yeah, and I mean it's really good. A lot of animation.
I'd never seen it still to this day. I even skipped it when I watched it with the girls. So it's just like, you know what? I've never heard one person be like, you should see it. No one's ever even said that. Like it's worth seeing.
It's so bad he abandoned his family. He's like, sorry guys, you're on your own.
We were like, we're just skipping number 1. We're going straight to 2. And they're none the wiser. They don't know that Jar Jar Binks exists.
Oh wait, you skipped it with your family?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you meant like they were watching it and you were
Love
like,
it.
No, I mean with my kids, I watched Star Wars in the machete order, and I skipped Phantom Menace altogether.
Okay.
I did 4, 5, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Okay.
And just because I think it's what's his name? That actor that came up with it that was on 70s show. Topher Grace, or was that his name?
Yeah.
Topher.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like
yeah,
he was the one that because
Yeah.
I think he tried to cut together a Phantom Menace that just has the story that you need to know with nothing else.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't let him release it for obvious reasons.
Right.
But yeah, it was like that's the whole thing. It's like you can literally just skip it. Nothing happens in it. Anyway, but the Phantom Menace effect is real. It's like you're excited, and I remember you coming back to school and being like, "Yeah, it wasn't." It's like you were trying to
Wait, for Phantom Menace?
Yeah.
Oh no, I fully believed it was good still the next day.
No, but it was maybe like 2 days later that
Yes.
you had realized it
yeah.
wasn't.
Yeah, it
You just wanted it to be good. So
I remember
bad.
you wanting it to. Though.
we got
Yeah.
to me and my friend Tyler got to see it before it came out. So like everybody was like, "What was it? How was it?" And I'm so
You're
sorry.
like, it's Star Wars.
You
It
wanted
rocks.
to be like,
wanted
it's
to be
so
like, it's
good.
great.
I mean,
Yeah.
we've been waiting 20 years.
Yeah.
God, so sad.
Yeah, so
But it wasn't like this. That's the whole point.
That's the
Yeah.
albums.
Yeah,
It's
it's the
it's a bummer when that happens with albums too, and it absolutely does. Where I try to convince myself that it's pretty good, and it just like it didn't work with On a Wire. And to be fair, I've not listened to On a Wire in probably like 20 years now, so I need to
Yeah.
give it another shot. But I don't think my feelings will probably change that much. But maybe it would. It honestly it did for In Reverie. I know that's controversial for you because me and you both hated that record. Fight Saves the Day, but I liked it a lot more a little later on. Oh, Kyle's okay. We got to do that one. I cannot wait. We got to do it.
Why have we not?
Why have we? Yeah, we
Sounds
really
like a
need
real
to
hoot.
because it's fun when we disagree sometimes on here. So yeah, first impressions. I think good. Let's go on to track by track and talk about that Manic Conviction first track because it's really good. Here we go.
God bless his manic conviction with evidence enough to convict him. So he stands by the side of the victim and strength enough to forgive him. Hopefully nobody saw him. Hopefully nobody saw him. Means justified by the ending. He's a sinner and saint for defending. The bastard by him that is bleeding. Throw salt in the wounds of the needy. And the blood from the cat that is seething.
I had to start this one from the very top because I
Absolutely.
feel like you needed to know. I don't know. Like I just remember hearing this from the get go and being like, "Wow,
They
this
just
is
went
fun."
for it. Yes.
Kyle, what are your thoughts on it?
I love it. It's like, controlled chaos.
Yes.
Like it's just awesome. And the freaking key part, and I say key like that may be just a piano.
That's
right?
a piano.
Yeah.
It's an upright piano that I love the sound of.
Sounds awesome.
Yep.
And it rocks.
Yeah.
Came out swinging.
I love a short, fast opening song like
Yeah.
this. In fact, I tried to write one. We recorded it in Nashville with Jim. It wasn't as good as this, but we ended up every song we recorded out there was like 2 minutes long.
Yeah.
Or a minute, under 2 minutes.
We didn't have
I
the
think.
juice that night.
We did not. But I was purposely trying to write a really short song.
Which is proof that if we try to force it in the studio, it doesn't work. When you're poor, you like have one night and some guy's got like a studio and you have to make the magic
Dude,
happen.
that is a kind of pressure that
It's
like
intense.
yeah, it is.
Be good.
Right now.
Just be good. Just be your best, but do it fast.
Don't worry, don't stress, but you have like 5 minutes.
But it's a great opening track. I mean, I like that it's kind of messy, but
Yes.
it's controlled, like you
Yeah.
said. It's not like sloppy. It's
No.
like we're plugging in the guitars. I love that it sounds like I'm right there
Yep.
with them. Plugging in the guitars, like the piano, that intro to that second verse is so cool.
Yeah.
The running down the piano.
It's got also like a very high energy like Tony Hawk Pro Skater vibe to it.
Ooh, I like that.
So
yeah.
That's a good thing. Chris, you have any other thoughts on?
Well, I
track.
always thought that there might be a slight homage to Through Being Cool with that with the
Oh.
plug-in sound. 'Cause it's
Yeah.
very similar. And I think those guys were friends. I was so excited when I heard this song because it was fast. Like that was the first thing I
really
noticed because
fast,
they had gotten like on the record before On a Wire. It was just really dreary and
Yes.
that they just came out like swinging, dude. And the hook is so good, and the background vocals.
Oh, I
like,
love the
it's
background
classic Get Up Kids, but
Yeah.
but with a new tune.
I just checked my notes, Chris. They were friends, and then In Reverie came out, and they weren't friends anymore.
Sorry, guys,
Friendship is over.
Sorry.
you just made a really bad album, and
And so we can't be
Can't
seen with
forgive
you.
that.
like, well, you made On a Wire. We were already not friends with you, and you made that.
Yeah.
Big diss,
Wow.
vagrant diss.
this is like what goes on with Taylor Swift now.
Yeah.
It was the Get Up Kids, like, apparently in the back of the day. Yeah, I love it. It's a great freaking first track. And I guess that they, so this one has Jason from Hot Rod Circuit doing background vocals.
Oh, okay.
And
is he just there up on top on the?
I don't know which part. I mean, I just know that it
maybe
credited
the
him
bridge.
with singing.
Our hero is gone.
But here's what's crazy. Here's what I did not also know. He played in New Amsterdam's with, which I was like, I didn't know that. I've seen the New Amsterdam's live. I've never seen Get Up Kids, which is weird.
So Vagrant. All Vagrant bands are like 8 different people. Just
It must be. It's kind of like the Motown thing. It's like just like the same band.
We can get another deal.
Yeah.
We can get another advance if we just create a band together.
Yeah. I mean, so anyway, I thought that was
Andy,
kind of
right?
cool. This was Jason.
Oh, from Hot Rod?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there was an Andy in there too.
Andy's the lead singer.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Jason's, I don't know, guitarist, bass. I don't know. Anyway, Hot Rod Circuit. That was a great band.
It makes touring easy. You just need one bus. There's like 5 of us
Yeah,
between the
just
4 bands.
Everyone, yeah, just we just rotate
We're all
around.
exhausted at the end
Here,
of the night.
you have the bass,
Yeah.
and then I'll okay. And so, which okay, that brings me to, I have to. This is a funny story because I know a guy. We were talking about tattoos earlier, and you mentioned it's not. You guys have tattoos. I do not. I just have my cancer ones that probably cost more than some of your tattoos
Yeah,
actually
I
because
would
they're just
imagine.
one little dot. But you know when you got to line up on a radiation machine or whatever. But we had a friend loosely we'll say that like wanted to get a tattoo, and he was like, look at this cool artist that I found, and I want to get one of his tattoos. Not one of his tattoos, but like one of his art things tattoos, like this baby and a robot or something like that. And then I'm at Knitting Factory in New York watching Hot Rod Circuit, and he's got that tattoo on his arm, and I'm like, he freaking copped that from the singer of Hot Rod Circuit and tried to pretend that he came up with it. Like he had found this artist and wanted to get this tattoo. I was like, dude, like,
What a loser.
why would you rip off the same tattoo that someone else has? Like, do your own thing, right?
Yep.
Am I
Nope.
wrong?
You are
no.
so right.
Okay.
No.
Just making sure that I was like I don't have tattoos, so I thought maybe, but that seems like a pretty lame.
No.
Because now you have this thing on your body for the rest of your life that you're like, yeah, I saw a band one time.
Yeah.
They had this tattoo.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
weird. Don't do that.
That's how regrets are born.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he got it too.
It doesn't have to be. Yeah, he did.
He did. Thank you. Okay, good.
Yes.
Names will not be said, but bad idea for a tattoo. Don't do that. Okay, let's go to track 2, The One You Want. Oh, this is a really good second track too, guys. Kyle, what are your thoughts on it?
Was there tambourine in there?
Oh yeah,
Love tambourine. Sorry, I should have finished that sentence.
harder instrument to play than most people think.
It's not as hard as the triangle though.
Triangle Salad.
So I'm going to ask a weird question about this song.
Please.
Go.
The what you waiting for is said and done. Is okay. This is so weird. Is that a reference to Gwen Stefani?
Is there a reason it would be?
Yeah, she has that song. What you waiting for?
In 2004, she had that
Yes.
song?
What you waiting for? Maybe it's just one of those
I
earwig
doubt
things.
it.
Same year.
Earworm.
Yeah.
Earwig.
Well, I mean, it is.
Earwig.
It is.
It's different.
It is an earwig thing. I mean, it is like a common phrase. So like, but it just. I
I
don't
wonder
know.
if with the timing he just heard it. and
Well,
it
to be
fit-
fair,
it
I think the
fits.
lyrics are really what you're waiting for is said
Okay.
and done.
Oh, she's saying.
Okay.
He's just saying what you waiting for.
Okay,
He's
okay.
kind of like blurring it. So I would guess that it's not.
I mean, I accept that answer. I was just curious because it's the time is right. Gwen Stefani started in the scene,
No, for sure. Yeah.
but also she's
not-
married to Gavin Rosdale at this point.
Yeah.
True.
Man, sorry guys, I took this in a weird.
That's okay.
direction.
I
It's
doubt
a-
it was a
my
reference.
It's a
Mind
great
that.
song.
Yeah.
It makes you want to tap your toes, shake your booty.
Yeah. So does this song, though. I like this one. Maybe not Shake My Booty.
You thought I was talking about Gwen. I was talking. I had transitioned.
You had
back into-
transitioned. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the Gwen song. I don't know. She writes more songs that make you want to shake your booty. This one doesn't.
You're right.
I knew
This one's
I
pretty
felt
good
you.
too.
It's just been a crazy August. Sorry, guys. We're a little.
They're both great.
Yeah.
Both good
Those are
songs.
good tunes. Yeah.
Chris, what are your thoughts on the second track?
I love it. That great clip. I love that line because I feel like he, as a friend, is telling his buddy, like, it's all right, man. You know, like, you're gonna be okay. So it's, I think it's sweet in that way.
Yeah, I like that he. I mean, I'm sure at some point he had to have a conversation. It was like, hey, how do you feel about me writing about your life?
Yeah, exactly.
And all the crap you're going
and it's
through.
gonna be one of the best songs on the record. I mean, this is one of the hookier songs, right?
Yeah, and that's for
my
it to
opinion.
not be autobiographical, a
Yeah.
lot of it at least, not the whole record, but I mean, there's quite a bit on this record that's clearly about his buddies that are going through these crappy
Yeah.
situations, and I wonder if that's weird for the other guys in the band to be like have this thing that you didn't write, or if is it better to have the third person's perspective? What do you think?
So sweet.
It would be sweet.
I just, like, 'cause there's nothing
You
better
don't
than your
have to say
buddy.
anything. Your friend's defending you.
And not only that, but he's got your back,
Yeah,
you know? And he's
totally.
like putting it out there on a record. No, I think it's freaking awesome.
I like it. Do you think they're ever like, you kind of got that detail wrong? Or I don't know. I mean, I realize not everything's going to be like exactly like you're going to take liberties with anything, but it would like, I've just never done that where I've written like a song completely from
Watching someone
like
else's
someone I actually
relationship.
know's
Yeah.
point of view. I mean, maybe I've tried to. I don't think I've done it very successfully, but
Yeah.
and not anything that close
I think
to
it'd
me.
be awesome.
Not with the guys I'm in the band with for sure.
Yeah.
I've definitely not done that.
It'd be funny if Matt was like, hey, I'm working these lyrics. Anybody know anything that rhymes with succubus? Just kidding. It's a little more tongue in cheek than that.
We're definitely getting 2 tracks in the record. I think it's worth talking about how like this doesn't sound like something to write home about at all.
Yeah.
So tight and just. yeah.
I think their playing is quite a bit better. They're a better band. They've been playing together for longer. I think they're writing great songs. The songs on that are great too, but I think the parts are better on this album as far as they're writing more interesting stuff. They're not kind of like all being too busy all the time.
It also sounds better.
You can hear everything has definition. I feel like they just did a really good job, and it feels definitely more kind of influenced by 70s rock kind of stuff, like especially with the keys and stuff. It definitely feels like I think they say they're influenced by like Elvis Costello stuff.
Oh,
like that.
yeah.
So
Definitely hear
that's
that.
not I guess that's some 70s, but I can hear a lot of that. It's still so weird for me how intricate the keys are in all this for him to have not been there when they were writing some of this stuff. Cause I'm like, were they just like, James will fill it?
Yeah.
Maybe. Cause he's really good, but it is weird to me how like intricate a lot of that stuff is. And it sounds phenomenal. And it's almost like you'd have to make space for that, but I guess they did. I mean, I love this song. It's really great. And I like that woo-hoo-hoo at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Is really
Oh, yeah.
freaking high. I cannot sing that even in a head voice.
I remember always. Yes.
I can't hit that last note. I can hit the first two, but not
Your
the last.
voice stops.
Trying to
Yeah,
sing that in the
it's
van,
like,
you'd be
yep.
like, "Ugh," you just like can't hit it, but you want to so bad. I want to sing along to that. I want to say woo-hoo-hoo with them.
Yeah.
That would be fun to do live, except I wouldn't be able to sing the note. So I still need to. I never did get to see him. So
Oh, I saw him at Riot Fest 2010. They played something right home about front to back. So good.
rub it in. Okay, let's go to track 3, which is Never Be Alone. Chris, what are your thoughts?
It's not another bro code song, man. But he doesn't sing it in first person. He sings it as Matt, like talking to the divorcee, right? Isn't that how you guys?
I would think so. Well, this is so this one has some specific stuff. This is a Matt one.
Yeah.
This is, he says, is about a woman that he wishes he never met. She sucks the soul out of people, and she spends all of my friends' money on drugs and stupid shit. So succubus, is that what you say? So
That describes a succubus almost
fits
exactly.
right in. So he referred to it as 77 era power pop, which I think is kind of
Yeah.
that makes sense.
And the tone that Dewey's used for the keys there, that gives me something to write home about vibes.
Totally.
Like just that era. But with the clean, nice production, it's a great song.
Yeah.
So.
Well, so it sounds so happy.
Yes, that's the thing. It's like you don't realize until you look at the lyrics. You're like, oh,
Yeah. I mean, what's the line about the? There's a box, or excuse me, never love anyone else is a promise you made to yourself. There's a box with a ring in the shelf, and it's tarnished.
yeah. I that's a great freaking line. I'm glad you brought that up because that's
It's the opening.
yeah,
Song,
pretty the tarnished thing is pretty great too because it can mean the ring or the
Right.
whole thing is tarnished. I freaking love it. It's great.
Wordplay.
Wordplay. Way to be a lyricist.
You should do it professionally.
Yeah, I think you did for a little bit. No, just and what's the timing on New Amsterdam's records? Was there one in between?
I'm not sure.
I don't know sure
It's
either.
in this era. I want to say
right around the same time.
2000 to 2003.
So
This
did
is
that come? This is 2004. So
Yeah.
did he release a New Amsterdam's record before this one?
I'm
That's what I
almost
forget
certain
about. He had to.
That he did around because I bought.
I think the first one, but not the
I
second
bought
one.
it in Berkeley.
We could
while
look
were
this up
recording.
pretty quickly too.
Also,
I'm sure.
I would regret not mentioning how much, but the rounded vocals kicks. on that.
Love, yeah.
so.
At the end, yeah. There's really a lot going on. It was hard to find.
Yeah.
30 seconds. It's a really, really good song. So let's go. Let me see. Make sure. Oh, the upright piano. I've got a point. Like, I love the sound of the piano on this record. It's not. It's like something about the room, and it doesn't sound like they're micing it super close.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like you hear
It's distant.
the piano in the room, and it feels like real. It feels like you are. You know how like piano can. I think piano is a hard instrument to record because it's got a lot of frequency space that's taking up, and it's like some people want it to be like perfect sounding, and pianos sound different. Like you just move,
Right.
around a room, and it'll sound different if
Right.
you've got your head in it or whatever. But I did watch some video of them, like of the making kind of stuff at one point way back when. It was probably on the CD. Like it was back then. It's probably where I watched it. I'm trying to think of where it would be.
Like an
probably
enhanced
find the
CD.
CD. I think it probably was an enhanced CD kind of thing. And it's like I think it was like a grand upright that he had in the studio. So it's like a taller
Oh yeah.
upright or whatever. God, I just think it sounds really, really good. And it's he plays perfect parts throughout this whole thing, and I really like the parts on this one specifically. So again, it's like great that he was able to come in after
Yeah.
his stuff and
Just
freaking kill it.
Dewey's it.
Dewey's it.
Dewey's.
Dewey's it. Okay, let's go to track 4, which is Wouldn't Believe It.
You really keep a secret. Cross your heart and hope to die. Maybe an evil one. The mind is all but gone. Trespass fits you like a charm. Scarlet letter on your arm. Did it occur to you too? What was the worst you could do? You wouldn't believe it, wouldn't believe it. I don't believe it too.
I didn't put a fade on that one either.
Wow.
Sorry. Still getting used to this thing. Chris, thoughts on Wouldn't Believe It?
I love this song. It sounds. What I always thought was really interesting, huh?
I wonder if you're going to say what's in my brain.
I hope not.
We'll
I want
see.
you to keep it. So what I always thought was really, I'm nervous now. What I was really thought was interesting songs how those two guitar parts am I good? I'm
We're
clean.
good.
Okay,
Proceed.
So, how they don't seem to make sense together, and they also did some interesting things with the guitar tones. There's a lot of that and something to write home about, but it almost doesn't work sometimes.
Yeah.
because it's a little sloppy.
Yeah,
but
it is,
It's
a little
not
bit.
here.
Yeah.
and I mean, just another great Matt Pryor chorus. Obviously, it's catchy as all get out. So, and he's like coming with the hits. So, yeah, dig it.
I really like the end of it when he goes high on it. You wouldn't believe it. I can't hit it right now. My voice is kind of shot. But Kyle, what are your thoughts on it?
I'm going to give this song the highest praise that I can give a song.
I cannot wait.
It sounds like Adam Schlesinger wrote this song.
Oh, that is a great point.
Freaking sounds like it could be a Fountains of Wayne song.
That is a really good observation.
And like that's
high
in
praise.
case you don't know, that is the
He's
highest
a-
praise I'm going to give you.
He's a fantastic
What?
Rip.
R.I.P.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
That was a bummer.
Lost a good one.
To
One of the
COVID
best.
of all
COVID.
things.
Yeah.
Freaking COVID.
Yep.
That's a really good point. I'd never really thought about that, but
It's just got that vibe, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's got a bouncy, happy.
Yep.
In some ways, there are some vocal similarities
are.
too between.
I know my brain
I know
was
Adam
just
wasn't the
doing
singer in was the singer's name though in Fountains of Wayne. I can't remember.
Gosh. And I feel bad for not remembering because
it-
he's
is it-
always under Chris.
Yeah, I know it's.
He doesn't get as much credit as due to him because Adam is such a killer
should, 'cause he's a
songwriter.
great
he's a
singer,
They're
too,
a
yeah.
perfect pair.
They're a great pair.
Oh gosh, I'm gonna find this out right
I know,
now.
and I feel bad too. It's not Wayne, is it? I'm just kidding.
Chris Wayne.
Is it his Fountains?
Yes.
Anyway, yeah, it's a great song. I really like it. It's again, I think probably
Chris Collingwood.
Collingwood. There you go. Thank you.
Sorry.
Now we know.
Yes.
Singer of Fountains Way.
Confirmed.
We're glad you're still here.
Maybe they're not.
Yeah.
Never know. Yeah, I like it. It's a good song. I think they just got good. I really remember listening to this record and just being like, more people need to know about this record.
Oh,
I
definitely.
felt like most of the songs are not. Here's what's weird about it. Most of the songs are not like things that you'd go like, oh, that's a hit. But I think if you put them on the radio, people would really like them. Does that make sense? Because it's the same thing. People are always like, oh, that could never be a hit. And then it's like, Champagne Supernova is 7 minutes long and it's on the radio all the time. Or pick the song. Like pick whatever it is where people are like, oh, that won't work. People don't listen to that. People like
butter jelly time.
that was what I was thinking of. Yes. You read my
The
mind.
ultimate
Yeah.
But I think
version
people
of that
don't.
phenomenon.
We've talked about this before too. Like I think labels in the music industry got in patterns of being like, well, we can't do that. But why?
Right.
Like, is
It's
it?
art? You don't know. I mean, there's a great interview with Will Ferrell talking about when they made Elf, and like
No
they had
one-
no clue. And
They
he's like-
wouldn't. They
he
would
said
not
even the-
greenlight it.
Well, yeah, he said even the stuff that the crew laughed at is not the funniest parts of the movies that people like now. He's like, we had no idea people were gonna like it that much.
No, an interesting thing about that is that Jon Favreau was trying to get that made for years, and no one would greenlight it. And he was like, "I promise you, it'll be good." And they were like, "Will Ferrell can't be a leading man."
Yep.
And then, but what happened? What changed is that he was in Old School and what's the other one that he was in? He's in Wedding Crashers too.
Yeah, but that's
He's not a lead in it, but he was in it, and he was like the funniest part of the movie.
Oh, right, at the end.
And people were like, okay, maybe
so.
it would work, but they still didn't think it was gonna be any good. And yeah, there you go. It's like Jon Favreau obviously knew what was gonna be, and like I wish more people would take the advice of people that are. Jon Favreau at that point is not. I mean, that's the biggest movie he's ever made for sure. But he goes on to do Iron Man.
No, I bet Elf's
I bet
bigger.
Elf makes more money every year than Iron Man does, but he makes more money off Iron Man probably because of the residuals he gets for it. But maybe, I don't know. But anyway, the point is, Jon Favreau is obviously a guy that makes good movies. Why would you not listen to him? And if people make good music and kind of go like, hey, I feel like this might be a single, and I'm not saying any of that happened here. I'm just saying I think all of these songs are really good, even though they're not traditional verse, chorus.
Right.
Like, here's the hook, blah, blah, blah. This has some of my favorite songs on it, even though they're like not, Man of Conviction is a fantastic song. I don't think it works as a single, obviously. It's short and stuff, but I think most of the rest of this record does work. A lot of it. This works. The last one, Never Be Alone, works. The One You Want works. I think all of these are good songs. And I realize Vagrant, they're on a bigger label at this point. I don't know why the Get Up Kids didn't get a bigger push.
Yep.
I'm mad about it.
It had to have been like personnel changes at BMG.
Everything was going on in the labels at this point too.
Right.
That should be said. We talk about it all the time. How there was
Everybody's getting bought by
BMG and
everybody.
Sony were talking about merging
Yep.
within the year of this coming out, and then they eventually do. And so the guy that signed you might not even be there anymore. No one that knew you.
And
Or
also
the people
digital
pushing your
music.
record might know they're losing their job in
That's
6 weeks.
That's
Right.
exactly right.
So they're not worried about you.
Yeah.
They're trying to keep their job. Okay, so anyway, that's my rant about the music industry for this episode, I guess. We'll leave it at that. Let's go to track 5, Holy Roman.
You'll look me in the eyes and say the world's not gonna end. Just make me a promise that the world's not gonna end.
I didn't fade that one either, apparently. I've just totally... I've really dropped the ball in producing this podcast, guys. I'm really sorry. Chris, thoughts on Holy Roman?
Great clip. That's always the part that stands out to me in that song is that freaking note he hits at the end there. And it's even like tucked back in the mix.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like very reverberous and stuff.
Yeah.
That's so good. But he's a better singer now than he was before.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like he's nailing it on this record.
Yep.
I love it.
And what I also always liked about this song is like you kind of had like some kind of pop candy things going on, and then this one's very emotional. Like it's very, you know.
And it's his first foray into kind of a political
Yep.
thing. 'Cause we're like a year into the Iraq War. I mean, I don't know if we are when it comes out, but I mean,
Right.
we're, post 9/11, Afghanistan, Iraq. And so it's definitely got a political thing. He was like, which is weird. In an interview I saw, he was like, it was kind of weird for me. I'd never delved into anything like that. But man, I freaking love this song. It's really good. And James, I mean, that keyboard, that little piano part.
Yeah.
And then the just like silence to the guitar, that one
Dude,
note.
and then and that bass lead up to going crazy, doom,
Yeah.
doom, 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 and then just starts walking
Yeah.
all over the place. It's so awesome.
Yeah, this is them showing off as like musicians.
We know how to play this stuff.
And they do a lot of that on this record where there's some cool like kind of instrumental stuff that I think they really just kind of came into being a band. It bums me out that then we do get another record from them. It's really good. But I really like Problems from 2019, by the way. But
Yeah. But it wasn't.
yeah, it took
This is it for a while.
That's it for
Yeah.
and there was another one too, but it was it's okay. But it's pretty good. Kyle, what are your thoughts on Holy Roman?
Love it. I mean, that clip is the jam, and him pushing and it being where it is in the mix. I love it. I love that I still hear all of those cool things that they're doing musically while he's going for it vocally. Like that's impressive.
But it's because his part's simple.
Yeah.
He's just going, "Will you save us?"
Yep.
High in the background, which is why it's a little bit buried in the mix. Not
Right.
buried; it's still there, but like
tucked.
It's tucked back because we want to hear the other stuff, the bass line that's going on, the keys, the kind of like wailing on guitar stuff. It's really cool, and I wish that I don't know. I really didn't like. Political songs are weird for me because I don't think they always age very well.
Sure.
I don't think there's anything in this one that doesn't. And it was like he was subtle enough about it, because he was kind of asking big questions instead of just being like. I remember I just remember some bands at this time just really driving me nuts with
dude.
like really oversimplifying something like. Terrorism.
Yeah, you could ring that bell a little too hard.
You could kind of be like, it's like, well, I think it's more complicated than what you're saying.
Right.
And putting in a 3-minute pop song or whatever. But so I'm always a little wary, but it's not like I'm like, don't do it. I'm just like, sometimes I'm like, I feel like it dates stuff, obviously.
Yes.
This one, I don't feel like does. I mean, I think that most people just listen to it and maybe not even pay attention to the politics of it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
So there's definitely a time and place kind of thing. That it puts you back to. I think
He didn't incubus it.
No, yeah, that's a good example of like getting too on the nose.
Yeah, because great band, lots of people loved them, but that album didn't do anything for me because it was like,
Me neither.
yeah, I'm already bummed out by all of this. I don't want to.
Yeah, I don't like music is the
Escapism.
thing I'm trying to get away from.
Right.
It's like to say it's like how late night TV's become about politics now. I'm like, no, actually, I kind of liked when it's
Stupid
like,
human tricks.
Yeah,
Give me stupid.
Give me
human
stupid
tricks.
human tricks,
Yeah.
please. I don't want to hear more about Donald Trump at 10:30 at night. I'm trying to just relax.
All I've heard about all day.
For goodness sake. Yeah, it's like that's all I've ever heard about. Okay, let's go to track 6, which is Martyr Me.
The wind not tearing at the seams. We hang on. We hang on. We hang on. Tonight, if you're awake at all. Tonight, if you're awake.
Love a low harmony coming in, by the
yes,
way.
yes.
That's really nice. I like it. Kyle, what are your thoughts on it?
I just think it's amazing that this is just sound wise. The difference between this and Something to Write Home About is insane.
Yeah,
Like,
it really is.
It just shows that good songwriters can become better musicians and better singers, and like, you know what I mean? Like it.
The progression always
Yes,
continues
it's
if
fine.
they're writing and making music.
Exactly. Like it's okay. Everybody's got to start somewhere, and then we get this progression, and it's awesome. And also, we all love something to write home about.
Right.
But they definitely got better, and it's like it's the same band, but it's like listening to a different band completely.
You know, I always wonder, like, is that happening still now? Like, with recording technology and stuff, like, are we getting, like, kind of crappy versions of who people are? Or is it, like, do we never get... Because we're not developing artists like we did.
Right.
And we weren't even doing it in the 2000s very well, but...
Right.
What do you think? I mean, have you heard a band lately that you're like, oh, the first one was, like, pretty good, and then they got better on the second one?
I'm going to say something perhaps controversial, because I think people that listen to this podcast are going to have opinions about it. I think Bring Me the Horizon has, where they started and where they are now is insane.
It's kind of crazy.
It is crazy. And like, it's not the same.
I haven't listened to them enough. I need
Well,
to
you would never listen
like
to
it.
their early stuff.
Okay, I would not.
You wouldn't listen
It's
to 2 seconds of it.
very hard.
It's
Then I would
so
not like it, yeah.
heavy.
Yeah.
But right now, like where they've become insane. And also like I think they're as a band, they've been unapologetic about, you know, actually they were younger when Linkin Park was big, and that was influential on them. And so like they've made new metal stuff, and even right now I don't even know what you would call it. That song that we posted a few weeks back, the new song, it's like pop, metal, punk.
But it's because they're figuring out who they are, right?
Well, and they're being creative, and
Yeah.
they're not staying the same.
Yeah.
They're progressing. And I think you're right. I don't know that we see people progress other than in like the tropey ways of like, oh, here's this young girl who's going to play music for young girls, and now she's 18. So
But that's
she's
just getting
sexy.
That's just getting older, though, and
No.
that's not, and that's kind of, there's kind of a gross thing there too that
Right.
happens. The Disney star kind of thing, which I think is just a problem with like
Yep.
making kids famous for the most part. Like, I don't know how you would deal with that, but yeah, it just feels like, I mean, we were complaining about this in the 2000s, though, is what's crazy, is that we were already complaining about people not developing artists. Because, like, in the 70s, guys, it's crazy. Like, you know, have you watched that Laurel Canyon documentary that Jacob Dylan did?
No.
About, like, you know, all those dudes, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and the Eagles, and Carole King, and like all these people, and James Taylor, and all these dudes lived in like the same part
yeah.
of California.
Yeah.
And basically the Eagles were a band where it's like they were on these other successful things. The label was like, we would like you all to be a super band, and we're gonna pay for y'all to just like go figure out how to be a band for a couple years or something. That doesn't, no one does that anymore. They need too fast of return on stuff. But you end up getting great, like if you give someone the ability, now it's just all the benefit is that you can do it, some of it yourself now, like self-produce stuff. You couldn't do that in the 70s, but it feels like there's a trade-off if we could go back to a little bit more of the development stuff.
But what's crazy is we've talked about phrases that were bad. Like when we were younger and doing this, a developmental deal was like a kiss of death.
Yeah.
Like you did not take that.
Right. You
Even
did
though
not.
their claim was that they were going to take you as an artist and develop you, what it was the equivalent of a Major League Baseball team signing this catcher that was pretty good that they didn't want anybody else to have.
Right.
That's exactly, but that's because it was a bad legal thing to do, and they weren't really developing anything. They were just
No.
saying like, mine.
It was called that.
Mine.
Yeah,
that's what they
exactly.
were doing.
Mine.
If
Dibs.
you get good, dibs. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not the same thing. And I just feel like, what if, I mean, Something to Write Home About was successful, especially because it was on a label that was trying to like from the ground up. I mean,
Yeah.
like, so what, it sold 100, 200,000 copies, something
I
like
think
that.
something like that,
or
which
whatever.
was huge for
Huge
probably
for
the budget.
them, I'm sure, and for the budget. Yeah, exactly. It's like that's a success for sure. But a lot of people would have just been like, well, we're done.
Yeah.
And or you're not getting a next one, or you know, especially with the majors at the time, they were just kind of like, if you didn't have, we know so many people that just like, we don't hear a single, we're shelving it.
Yeah.
And that was it. You didn't even get to release it to see if people would like it.
Right.
Nope.
You know,
None.
so there's some stuff. I already said I had a music industry rant. Now I'm going on my second one, but
Well, but like you were talking about how nobody progresses and we don't get to see their development, and like that's under the guise that was under the guise of a label saying, "Hey, let us take you under our wing and we'll develop you as an artist," but it was lies.
Wasn't really happening.
No.
Yeah, and so, but my point is, like, I love this record so much, and it bums me out to think about what if they just would have. I mean, what if they even would have gotten dropped after On a Wire, not as successful as they want it to be, and I know there's some turmoil. They end up breaking up and stuff, but.
What if it would have been pushed just a little bit harder?
Right. I think it could have been really successful.
Yeah.
I think it's really good. It's not super popular, even among Get Up Kids fans. A lot of them are like, no, it's like they're like something right home about or bust, which I think I hate when people are like that, but whatever. That's your choice. But I wish this would have gotten a little bit more of a push because it could have been more of a, I think they could have been bigger.
Absolutely.
Especially for how many bands liked this band.
Right.
So anyway, let's second music business rant over. Let's go to track.
Not the last one.
No, it won't be the last one, I'm sure. Let's go to track 7. How long is too long?
Did the issue go this far? Did you set this high standard for yourself? I know it's not a fault, though I really have to wonder if you'd ever set the standard without help. Don't you know? Of course you don't. Of course you don't. The words might choke. And how long is too long? When you're waiting by the phone.
We're done with politics. We're back to infidelity. This one they say is about a guy sleeping with another guy's girl. So her infidelity, I guess, but it's specifically from that viewpoint of like, hey man, that might be, it's pretty skeezy. Don't be stealing other people's women kind of thing. Kyle, thoughts on the song?
Awesome. I'm like, I got sidetracked because I don't have this on vinyl, and I just looked it up. $16 right now.
I need to buy it.
Yeah,
Why do I
totally.
not have it?
I don't know. I was thinking the same thing to myself. I was like, man, I really enjoy this record.
Yeah, I need to order it.
Yeah, it's great. The freaking bass line is grooving right there.
so good.
Yes.
His voice sounds so good. It's a great song. Yeah, that's all I got.
Chris?
I mean, just the clip you played, there's like 3 hooks in that chorus
I
that
know.
you can sing along to, and it's almost like a country song. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I mean,
It's got a swing to it a little bit.
Yeah, but it's almost like an homage to country music, but in the Matt Pryor style. So it's very interesting in that way. And this one always pulled at the heartstrings a
Well,
little bit.
thanks for the compliment on the clip because it was really hard for me to use that clip, even though I was like, gosh, you get so many good parts of this song in this. The piano part, that key and the bass.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. Is you mentioned it at the beginning. I didn't realize James wasn't in the studio with them.
Well, I mean, I think he came in, but he wasn't in the initial writing.
Okay,
stuff.
okay.
It was
Well,
kind of like was from what I've read.
It's amazing to me like how subtle some of his parts are, but they sound great.
Right.
That little line he's playing
Yeah.
just on those
Awesome.
eighth notes or quarter notes, really. 1, 2, 2, 2. Anyway, like it's really good. It's super tasteful. He is so good at putting that ear candy on stuff.
Dude. Yeah.
But right after this clip is that bridge, which is phenomenal. It kind of goes to like that single guitar and drums thing, which is so great. I was like, I can't do a 1.5 minute long clip of this song. But the bridge is fantastic on this song. I love it. It's got even more of that piano kind of going on in it. And it's kind of sparse. It's got that one, sounds like just a telly screaming through a Vox amp. Oh, it's so good. And I really, 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 really like this song a lot. You guys know it's hard for me to not put a bridge as a clip.
Oh yeah.
You know that's
You're a fan of bridges.
Some real restraint that I put. I was like, I can't just do bridges. Okay, but yeah, it's a good song. Chris, you have any other notes on it?
No, not
Okay,
for me.
good. Okay, let's go to track 8. Sick in Her Skin. Sorry.
Blood on the table. She made up her mind. All of the talks we had were for nothing, but I tried. It's overwhelming, man. His absence she defends.
Chris Monnier, what are your thoughts?
It's a groovy little tune. You know, it's got a nice little funky groove. Yeah, to it.
Yeah.
More of the same thing.
Yeah, more.
Yes, we're you know, he's not being shy about what he's singing about here. But he isn't afraid to like kind of tie these different like musical themes in with the different songs, which because this album is it's a Get Up Kids album, but every song has its own personality. You know, this one's
a little jammier.
Yes, for sure.
And I've got to talk about the Rhodes, man.
Oh,
if you're not listening to this
so
song in
good.
headphones, you need to, because the Rhodes on this sounds really, really good. Kyle, what are your thoughts on it?
I mean, you guys said it. It's. I think you used the word jammy
Yeah.
Jammy.
and groovy.
Yep.
It is both of those things. I love that guitar, that lead guitar part. Very cool. The bass line, awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a vibe.
And the end of it, that build at the end is very cool too. And it gets into kind of a little more screamy, that like really Matt Pryor, but it's so much better than it was on the older stuff. He's a better singer at this point, and I really love when he goes into that all over now thing at the end. It's really good. I like the jammy stuff. I think it didn't hit me as hard when I first listened to it because their melodies have always been the thing that really attracted me to them, and the cool kind of way that they worked with I like the kind of like not dueling guitars thing, but you know, it's kind of that or double arpeggiating kind of thing sometimes, and they do it kind of cool stuff. So it's a good combination of that. They've always had good melodies, but I think they're clearly a better band at this point. I think they're having some fun.
Yeah.
Let's like show off a little bit. It's fun.
Chris, you were talking about like a little bit of like not knowing how to describe it, but country sound a little
Yeah.
bit. It's the telly, right?
I think there's
It's
if they weren't playing tellies on a lot of this record, I'd be pretty surprised. I mean, it's hard to tell sometimes.
Because even
but
that tone
hard to
on
telly.
that part we're talking
Yeah.
about on this, it's hard to telly.
Hard
It
to
is.
But yeah, it's good.
I'll tell you what.
Really, I don't know I think everything sounds great on this record, but the guitars and keys definitely like stand out. The bass lines are fantastic. There's not a tone specifically that I remember.
No.
They're always right. It's always perfect.
Grooving.
But they've got a much better rhythm section than I think they get credit for.
Oh, I thought they always got all the
Okay,
credit.
do you think they did? Okay,
Well, yeah, everybody knows the brothers on bass and drums, and
it's a good way to do it if you're going to be related,
always, dude.
right?
What do you call it? You always have a name for like when brothers and
Well,
It's singing blood harmony.
Singing
Blood
blood
harmony.
harmony,
Oh, okay,
which,
okay,
but
okay.
I think the rhythm's
Blood
Works to the
rhythm.
thing,
because
too,
it was the
for
same
fun,
thing
yeah.
on. Wait, was it the bassist and the drummer in STP, Stone Temple Pilots?
Yes.
Or was, yeah, it was. No, it was the guitarist and the
Guitar,
bass.
but still same.
But still,
yeah,
brothers.
Delano.
Blood
Delano.
rhythm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just coined that phrase.
The what?
Blood rhythm.
Blood
Yeah,
rhythm.
blood
Okay,
rhythm.
we'll call it blood rhythm.
Yeah.
That works for me.
We made that up.
When you've got a bass player and a drummer, first of all, that's kind of fun that they like played together in a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
And your brothers, and like to me, that's a good rhythm section is very valuable.
It's almost like a brotherhood. Like you got to be.
We rotated through a lot of bass players, and it's hard to find good bass players, honestly.
Right.
It's
sometimes
like their timing is relative.
it might
right?
be
Related.
relative. It is related. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
sorry.
That's pretty serious. But I do like it. But the harmony thing is more of like a surefire
Oh, yes,
thing.
definitely.
If you're singing harmonies together and you're related,
Yep.
guaranteed.
It's like DNA.
works.
It's
Even if you're both kind of bad at singing.
it just sounds better.
because you sound alike, you at least
Yeah.
blend together. But I prefer it when you're good at singing.
Yeah, I like that too.
All right, let's go to track 9 in your C. If I can find it, here we go.
Better off alone, waiting patiently, stranded in your city. 'Cause I'm waiting for you, and all you can do, so little to prove. Nobody knew, must have been, didn't approve, but someday I'll be free. You'll wait for.
Speaking of rhythm section,
Oh, yeah.
that bass line is killer.
That tone too is just like creamy, man. It sounds good.
I remember you telling our bass player at the time, like, you should just sit and learn this record. just play it. Like, it'll make you better if you decide to sit, like, you know what I mean? Because it's got great bass lines, and it's really good at being. It's not like super flat. It's not like Flea or something where like flashy and you like notice it all the time. It's just really solid, really good note choices, really great little, like, he's doing it at the right time too.
Right.
Like the walk up to that doom 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 doom. You'll wait for me. And it's like, it's just the perfect time. He's chilling out. He's not interfering with what's going on with the vocals. It's really, really good. Really good bass parts. Anyway, Chris, what's your thoughts on it?
I always felt like this song, they kind of brought out the most, I don't want to call it tricks, but, you know, there's a lot of orchestration, background vocals. And this is, you said they produced this, right?
Well, Ed Rose did.
Oh, no, that's right. That's right.
But,
but it wasn't that they that's right.
Yeah.
It wasn't they self-produced.
But they own the studio.
Had the studio. So they had some time. I feel like they took their time with this and were like, hey, let's pull out some tricks. Because it's a very produced song for the Get Up Kids. It sounds phenomenal. Like, you really understand. These guys have really honed their craft.
Yeah.
And they can add all these, like, Kyle always calls it ear candy. There's just a lot of that in this song.
There is.
But it sounds great. It doesn't sound like too much.
Kyle?
I love the play on words, the waiting patiently, stranded in your sea. I think that's pretty clever. I want to know more about the history of, like, the crossover of Reggie happening at this time and this, because it's so different.
Yeah.
And James, is it fair to say he gets sloppier? Like in his side project stuff, like, it's nothing he's done is as polished as this.
No.
But don't you think that's because he's the creative force in Reggie in Full Effect, in the sense that, like, it's all him?
Yes.
No, it's not that it's all him, but you know what I mean? Like, it's his thing, whereas like, this is like, how can I make this song better with keyboards? And this is one where I'm like, what did this sound like without his key parts in it? Because it's all
what's so
piano.
interesting about his parts is, like, a lot of the songs he makes
That
them.
freaking intro to this song, which I didn't do, which is like a 2-bar scale. I mean, it's really cool. And it really launches the thing. And then all those verses are all him, essentially, in the bass. So you're like, what did this sound like before? Was it a guitar? Was it, I don't know. It's really good, though. And the piano sound itself really shines on this song.
Yep.
Love it.
I wonder if, because they had worked together so long, if Matt had the ability, like, where he would just leave 4 bars and he's like, James will do something here. We can't think of
I bet
anything.
you're right. I mean, because I've done that with people, to be like, hey, I did that with, like, LG on that synth one I did. I was just like, hey, I've got most of this here, but I need the ear candy. I need, like, a little bit of you grew up in the 80s. I need some 80s touch on this kind of thing. So that's what was, and he did great at it. So maybe that's what it was. Is that it was like, hey, this will be, or that piano part on the verses is simple enough. Someone else could have written that too. Yeah. Not with the walk and stuff, but like, dun, 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 that works. We could all play that. That's not a big problem. But obviously James spices it up a little bit. Let's go to track 10, Sympathy.
Keep the bottle down to our surprise. Suspect you had discipline on earth to convert. I just didn't think it would. I don't know why it is. Isn't it obvious to me? Sympathy. I'm sure that after this, you don't fear anything at all. Resembling. What we give to this challenges persist.
I'm not trying to, like, ruin anything. I think this is a perfect song. I cannot. Everything about it, I love it.
Yeah.
Kyle, what are your thoughts?
I
Got
mean,
anything?
I don't disagree. I actually think this song, you make a couple tweaks to it, and it's a Motion City soundtrack song. Like, and also obviously these guys influence Motion City.
Oh, of
soundtrack.
course, yeah.
But like, it's
James Dewey's definitely influenced
for
Motion
sure.
City soundtrack.
You don't have one without the other.
No.
Or I guess maybe there's some overlap.
There's
don't have the
overlap.
development of
Right.
Motion City soundtrack.
Well, I'll be honest. Those are the first bands that got me into like, oh wait, synth might be kind
This
of
is
cool.
cool.
Is
Yeah.
Motion
Yeah,
City
totally.
and Reggie? I mean, really. I mean, it's like those are the ones that made me go like, wait, this actually is done pretty cool. I
feel like
it.
he even sounds a little bit like Justin on this song. And also
I can hear that. Yeah.
chicken egg, right?
Right.
Yeah.
He came before.
Well, I think that's
they
what
came
was
before.
so weird.
Kinda
As like
look alike, too.
as a kid, you'd read like an article about someone being like, "Oh, this band was like." You'd hear about like the Beatles being influenced by the Beach Boys and vice versa. And you're like, wait a minute, but they were around at the same time. You forget that like, oh, you can be influenced by music that's happening right now.
right, totally.
It doesn't have to be here and then. And like how they were competing and influencing each other
Yep.
and referencing each other. And then we obviously have a lot of that going on in this scene too.
Oh,
And a lot
for
of
sure.
the overlap of the Vagrant stuff
Yeah.
that we've talked about and the Jersey and New York, like that scene and stuff, and how much of this stuff was happening at the exact same time. So it's kind of hard. It's probably impossible to say that like this happened and then this happened because of that. It's kind of a mess. But
Yeah.
I think that there's no way that James Dewey's is not an influence on
Not
Motion City
possible.
soundtrack. I just can't. I would not believe
Right.
it that they weren't big Reggie and the Full Effect fans.
I agree.
Wouldn't believe it. Chris, do you have any thoughts on the song?
No, I mean, I think you guys kind of nailed it. It's definitely that you just nailed it with the clips on the song because every song
I went a little long on that
Yeah,
one too,
but
but I had to
every-
get that bridge. I had to.
every song on this record is good, and this song I think it's unique because it kind of almost feels like a callback to something to write home about. It feels that way, but again, like in this new style where they just sound so polished and clean that you end up I don't know, I end up almost kind of liking it more than those songs.
Okay, here's an interesting thing that you brought that up. Sympathy and How Long Is Too Long were both written for On a Wire. And they didn't
way.
think they fit the style.
Well, they're right.
And so they did them on this record.
Yeah.
And I think they're right, but I'm like, oh my gosh, so you were writing these two songs? Those could have been on that record, and
Could've
you
been.
were like, doesn't fit the mood of not good.
You should have thrown out the
songs-
rest of the record.
These
Took those
songs
two
are too good.
Yeah.
Because this is one of my favorite songs ever. Like
Yeah.
there's the bass line is phenomenal in it. All the keys, that bridge, again going to the guitar and drums. I just love that
That
trick.
dry guitar, yeah.
That's such a good trick. And then that piano part that's playing as he starts singing is like wonderful.
Yep.
And it's so I love this song. I think it's and it's kind of got that sentimental like this feels like a mixtape must for me.
Yep.
That or it could be the Sacred Heart. This might be Sacred Heart.
Hadn't done one of those in a
We
while.
haven't done one in a while, but it feels very much like a TV show.
Yeah,
At the
I
end
agree.
there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't. I love this song so much, but I can't even put into words what it is that I like about it.
No, that it's
just great.
Kind of hits you in the right way.
It just it hits me, and it always has. I remember I have very deep memories of driving in the middle of the night. You know, because we had a van. Chris and I had a van that didn't have it had a CD player but didn't have an aux jack. We were in that weird awkward period of time. We were all had iPods,
Yeah.
but we didn't have a way to play an iPod because it didn't have a cassette either.
Right.
Oh,
We'll
man.
at least had a
So
cassette.
you just had to rock your in-ears
Yeah.
driving, which I'm sure is super safe, by the way. Can't hear
we had
anything
that
else.
FM tuner, but it never worked.
It
right.
did that. That's worthless.
Yeah,
That makes
don't ever
stuff
buy one
sound
of those.
terrible.
Yeah.
Those never work unless you buy an industrial one like you did.
Oh, the one
for
I
that
got from
show
Australia, yeah.
that is definitely not legal to
It
use.
got real hot too, just so you know, like fire hot, lava hot.
We had like
Lava hot.
Yeah,
We got like a
you didn't want to touch it when it was on.
we
No,
got like a radio transmitter that was like about the size of like a computer. Like
Yeah.
it was pretty big, and we used it for a show and hung a bunch of old radios up for an intro and like played the intro through the radios instead of through the speakers. It was cool.
Yeah.
But it was definitely illegal. The FCC.
definitely. Yeah, anybody driving by would have heard the same thing.
we were like we overtook a station for sure. We were within about I don't know, at least half a mile of us. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's just anyway. It always hits me. But I remember listening to it with my in ears like this on and like this was just one of those late night albums that I listened to a lot driving at night, and so it just reminds me of driving. Everyone else is asleep. And this song always just like hit me, gave me all the feels.
So do you know who he was writing this one for?
I have no idea. It doesn't. It just the only thing it mentions on like Wikipedia and stuff that I found was that it was originally demoed for. They didn't flesh out the whole thing, but demoed for. You mean as far as which?
so then because of that, it wouldn't have been.
probably wasn't one of the divorces. Probably something
Okay.
else.
I just assumed.
I would have too. Oh no, although one of them was
James?
No, but James was after On a Wire.
Yeah.
I think they were both after a Wire. So I don't think this is a divorce one, but it feels very
definitely, dude.
sad.
Yeah.
I've always liked it, but I've never really been able to figure out lyrically what exactly he's talking about.
Yeah.
It gives me more of a feeling than a lyrical thing, but I just love the.
Well, I mean, he's talking. I feel like he's talking about getting through a breakup.
It seems like it to me.
Okay.
Which that's how I felt it. After I had a breakup at the similar time, I was like, I feel like I relate to this song, but I remember a friend being like, "Why? I don't understand."
Yeah.
What you mean? I was like, I don't know either. It's just a feeling.
Right.
I like it. It makes me feel like the way I feel right now. I don't know.
It's an Apple Jacks commercial.
What does that mean? I don't know.
Why do you like them, kids?
Just do.
We just do.
They are good.
They are good.
I haven't had an Applejack in a while, but those are pretty solid. Okay, let's go
I heard
to.
anyone say an Applejack.
I guess Apple Jacks.
Apple Jacks. You're right.
Multiple Apple Jacks.
On Apple Jack. A single Apple
single
Jack.
Apple
I'm
Jack.
gonna give that to you for your birthday present.
Here
Figure
you
it out.
are.
Here
I do
go.
remember-
an Applejack.
Here's an Apple Jack.
Me and some buddies went and played like a youth camp thing in Arizona, and late at night they'd let us in the cafeteria. We just got the little boxes of cereal and like sit around and eat like 3 or 4 of those boxes.
Oh,
That's probably the
so
last
good.
time I had Apple Jacks, and it was like such a fun experience to be like. Felt like we
So
were
good.
rebelling because I never got those little individual things as
There's
a kid.
nothing better than
Never.
cereal at midnight.
Yes.
Nothing better.
Cereal in the middle of the night. I did a bowl of whatever the Trader Joe's brand version of Cinnamon Toast Crunch the other night at like midnight. Elisa's like, really? I was
Yes,
like, yeah,
really.
Really, I'm going to do this right now, and then I'm going to brush my teeth and go to bed. All right, track
I'm
11.
gonna drink the cinnamon milk too. Watch me.
The horchata.
And I did. And I absolutely did. The horchata.
That's what I call it. Like,
While making eye contact with
I'll post about having a horchata, and what I mean is,
Yeah,
I just ate a giant bowl of cinnamon toast crunch. I try to sound cultured. I just had a nice glass of horchata.
delicious.
I've never thought about that, but it
is
basically
horchata.
Yeah, basically the same thing. Same consistency.
Well, dude, like I've introduced my children to horchata, and they're like, "This is like cinnamon toast crunch milk." I'm like,
Basically.
it
Yeah,
is
it really
that.
is.
That's
You think
exactly
someone
what it
that was the idea? They were like, aha, I've got a great idea for a beverage.
What is pre horchata?
I don't know. Something maybe-
Cinnamon toast crunch.
Right.
Okay, let's go to track 11, The Dark Knight of the Soul, which I originally spelled Dark Knight with a K because I'm a Batman fan, like a dork. Okay, here we go. That's a scream I can get into, guys.
Yeah.
I'm into like
That's a
Matt freaking
gang vocal.
going for it at the end
Yeah.
there on the rail. I love it. Chris, what are your thoughts on?
This is like kind of in the vein of Motion City soundtrack in that kind of a dark theme song,
Yep.
but still,
Party.
you know, it's like party happy. until
Jamming,
he
they're having
screams.
fun.
The
Yeah.
gang vocal.
Yeah. Yeah. So I always thought this album was maybe a few songs too long.
I don't think that's I think I felt that way then for sure. I don't
Yeah.
think I do now.
I mean, I feel that way anytime an album is longer than 10 songs, just because we all know, like, you're just wasting your.
You're not getting paid on those
getting
last
paid for
couple
that.
songs.
Well, okay, so I've always
I
enjoyed.
bet they did on this.
I've
Yeah.
always enjoyed the tail end of this album, but I will say that sometimes when I'm listening to the whole thing, like it starts to.
A little long.
Yeah, that's it. Not that they're bad songs.
This isn't the one for me though that makes me. I mean, I feel that a little bit more after that because I almost feel like this could have been a last track.
Yep.
That's kind of what I'm saying. Like,
Totally.
but you know more's coming. It's like
Yeah.
the anxiety you have when you know your vacation's about to end, but it's
Yep.
like you still have 2 days left. That's
Yep.
kind of what I'm thinking.
But I think that's what it. I think that's the reason we felt that way is because this kind of feels last tracky,
Yeah.
and then there's 2 more.
Right.
Yep.
But I think it's just that they're good at writing that kind of song that kind of feels like a last track because
Yeah.
like Sympathy could have been a last track
definitely.
almost.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's like they've got that that emotional kind of thing going on. They just write parts that make me feel like something. And so a lot of times when they get kind of jammy like this, it feels like the end of the record.
Yep.
And I do remember feeling that way. This felt kind of like the end of it, and then there's a couple more. So I don't think you're wrong about saying that it could have been, but it's grown on me, the length of it.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Kyle, what about you?
I mean, I feel the same. I feel like it sounds like it could be a last track. I do love the line "Redemption is a bitch to end on."
Yeah, I do.
But I mean, I think it's great.
Yeah,
Enjoy
I like it.
Yeah.
It feels like they're having fun
Yeah,
making a dark song.
yeah.
Dark Night of the Soul. Okay, let's go to track 12. Is There a Way Out?
Words in my mouth. It's only speech and sound. Is there a way out? I got this blood on my hands, and if there's some
Kyle, thoughts?
I dig it. I mean, I like that it's a little like there's a change in the vibe going
Yeah,
on.
Definitely.
It's not refreshing. That's not the right
No.
word, but you know what I mean. Like everything has kind of had a groovy vibe to it, and this sounds different.
Yeah.
and it's a nice reprieve.
And it worked really well for like driving at night for me.
Oh,
like the
yeah,
the
it's
end
a
of this
night driving
record
song.
feels very night driving
Yeah.
to me. And I don't think it's just because I did listen to it so
No,
much
you're
while
right,
driving
yeah.
at night.
No,
I think it
this is-
really is like appropriate for it. Like
Totally.
I want to play this record driving at night.
Yep.
Or flying on an airplane at night
Yep.
or something like that. There are certain records that I just go, that Coldplay Ghost one's another one like that. I go, I'm on an airplane at night.
Yeah.
I listen to that one for some
We've
reason.
talked about we
We've
should
talked
make
about
a
that.
lift off playlist.
We should.
But yeah, this is a night. You're right. This is a night drive.
And this song specifically, what's interesting to me about it is that if you took out those blips at the beginning of it, so just to like listen to it again real quick. Hold on. Let's just like, oh, wrong one.
words in my mouth.
Okay, without that, it's just those strings and his vocals.
Yeah.
And it would be almost like a super slow it would kind of feel, you said it's kind of like different than the rest of the record, and it is, but it would be too much if
yeah.
it didn't have boom, beep, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom, beep, boom, that kind of like robotic programmed click sound almost. I mean, that sounds like the thing that makes the click.
Yeah.
Yep.
That doesn't even sound like I know it's like a drum machine or something, but I think that makes it. I think it's
Yep.
almost like, okay, we're not taking you too far out of this.
It's almost like that John Mellencamp song. Remember he always said that the claps were just there to keep time?
And then they kept him?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
crazy. But that's how it happens sometimes. That you
Yeah,
guys,
that's
it's almost
awesome.
like you
Yeah.
get your own demoitis about your track.
You're right. That could have been the click that they built.
It could have been.
Yeah.
It always felt more like to me because if I strip that out in my head, it sounds like he wrote this thing on a little synthesizer
Yep.
Yeah.
with like two chords because that seems very simple.
Yeah.
I would believe that Matt just was like hammering this stuff out on a keyboard, and then but most of it's pretty simple. But that thing's going the whole time. Boom. Beep, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And it's cool that it's on that like syncopated thing. It kind of gives the song a different feel than if you took it out, it would just be like whole notes.
Yep.
For two measures.
Yeah.
Whole note for two measure with that vocal on top
It
of
needed
it.
that.
It's a great little ear candy thing that
Yeah.
it puts in there, and but it goes throughout the whole song, and I think it feels like night driving to me. Y'all have any other notes on it?
No.
I just thought that was
That song always puts me in a trance. It's so trippy. Like, in a good way.
Yeah.
It just kind of
No, it-
sucks you in.
yeah. It makes me, like I said, it's just like the
If I was
perfect
driving
thing to
with this
have.
song, you guys would have been, on the side of the road because I'd have been like, oh.
Falling asleep. Well, I probably did. Almost. We were always that close to doing something like that. Okay, let's go to the final track, Conversation. Here we go.
Didn't think we need to have another damn conversation about it. Didn't think we need to have another damn conversation about it.
I'm not saying I wouldn't take stems for other songs we've talked about, but I want the stems to this song more than about anything because there is so much going on, and I know it's not chaos.
Yeah.
But it's controlled chaos again, definitely.
But they're having fun.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. Kyle, what are your thoughts on it?
I love it. They're just grooving right there. They're like the Electric Mayhem right there, just freaking
great example.
grooving.
Yeah.
And also, I don't disagree with what Chris said a little bit ago. Like it's I think it is a little long, maybe, but where this record took us from the opening, which I love the opening.
Yeah.
But it's crazy that we ended up here.
Yeah.
I agree, and it does feel like it doesn't feel like two albums, but it does feel like two halves.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Like you feel like side A, side B kind of thing.
Oh,
Although
100%.
At 13 tracks, I mean, what's the total time on this one, Kyle? You've got it
I'll
up.
tell you
Probably.
one second. 45 minutes.
Oh, okay, well, that's pretty much solid.
normal,
But you know what I mean? Like, okay, so because where would you split it? At, I guess at 13... How Long is Too Long is probably the Martyr Me's side A,
Right.
And then you go to How Long is Too Long.
Yep.
And it's not that other stuff doesn't fit, but like especially these last three songs kind of feel like it's almost like I kind of like we talked about like Jimmy Eat World on Chase This Light, like how
They need to go
you
together.
really can't separate Firefight and Dizzy.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do that. Or what's the other song? What is the other one that has like 3 tracks at the end? Yellow Card, Paper Walls.
Oh yeah.
Those last 3 tracks are like it's like you can't separate these. These are almost like one idea or whatever. And that's how I feel about the end of this record.
Yep.
It's like it becomes this kind of jammy thing. And you're right, it is different than Man of Conviction and the first couple tracks and stuff, but it's very much the same band. And I still feel like this whole album has, I can't describe it though, but it does have a feel. Because I don't feel, even though 2 of these songs could have been on a Wire and they didn't put them on there because it didn't have the feel of that album, this album has such a good album feel. I really do like a lot of the individual songs on it, but it's just a really good, like, we're going to take you on this journey.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate. I feel like it's, especially when a lot of people do feel the way you do, where it's like, well, if I'm not getting paid past 10 songs, why am I putting
Right.
11 or 12
Right.
on there? But I do
I get
appreciate-
paid for 10 songs. Here's my 10
Here's
song
10
album.
songs. But I appreciate when people go,
The
and I don't know
extra
what
mile.
the deal, the 4-minute mile,
Yeah.
to get there and go, you know what? No, I think it needs 13
Need
tracks.
more.
I think we need what's more on there. Any other thoughts on last track, Chris?
I mean, yeah, it's just madness.
Yeah.
But you guys already said it. It's madness. It's controlled chaos. It's also very clear that they were having the freaking time of their life.
yeah.
it's
Have
probably-
fun.
I'm like, I want to see you guys do this live because I bet it's not the same every time. There's no way you could just like replicate that.
But like, this is an album where I hear parts and I go, I bet when someone played that, they laughed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in the good way, in the
Yeah.
way where you go like, oh my gosh, yeah, you have to. That's it.
Yeah.
You know. And this feels like it's all. They were all like, hey, play the craziest thing you can in time, but like the bass is kind of doing something different, and the guitar. I mean, it's all.
They're just
the keys-
vibing, dude.
And freaking James again. It has to be said, killing it on all the keys on this record.
Yep.
I think it's one of my favorite keyboard records.
Yeah.
Even though it's not led by the keyboard, it's not like it's something corporate, Jack's Mannequin, Billy Joel, someone that's like a piano-led band.
Yep.
The keys on this record are, like, I think on par with like Ben Montench, the Heartbreakers keyboardist.
Oh,
Like as far as he always does the right thing.
Yeah,
right.
It's not necessarily the
Tasteful.
hardest thing. It's tasteful. It's always exactly what that song needs. Sometimes it's freaking Refugee and he's wailing on the organ.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like a couple notes that any of us could play. But it's like, that's what that needs. And he does that all over this record. I know he's a super talented guy, and I love that he can like dumb it down sometimes, and other times he can wail on it.
Yep.
Love it. Okay, let's go to awards. Desert Island Songs. Chris, do you have 3 favorites?
I do. Can't not do Man of Conviction. I know it's a little weird to do the first one.
I don't think. I mean,
love it so
it's weird
much.
to do the short song,
Yeah.
but I can see it's a great freaking track.
Yeah, and then The One You Want and Martyr Me. Those are my 3.
Kyle.
I
wait.
need to say something about Martyr Me.
Please
'cause
do.
I don't think I said it, but the you played it in the clip, but the sounds of the clinking glasses.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a local bar.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And whenever I hear that sound, I think I was in that bar one time.
No
just
way.
Coincidentally,
I can't remember
on a
what the name of it
Lawrence
is.
night. And it's just this little bar in Lawrence, and whenever I hear that sound, I'm like, dude, I feel like I'm there. And because it was so freaking cold that night. And when we opened that door and there was like a fire, it was like, oh. So I remember it. Anyway, so I think that's why that song resonates with me.
I do love the bar thing. We didn't talk about that, but yeah, the little bar recording
Yeah.
is pretty freaking great. Kyle?
I believe the bar you're thinking of is a small bar called Henry Hudson's.
That's it.
Oh, yes. They've got great nachos.
Yes. Okay. I'm struggling with this because I do like songs on the back half of this record, but I don't know if I like them more than the songs on the front half of this record.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to imply that it's like loaded up front, but I love
It is.
Man of Conviction, The One You Want, and I love Wouldn't Believe It.
It's a good song.
It's a great song.
So that's what I'm going to go with.
Okay, so wait, what were your three again?
I was Man of Conviction, One You Want, Martyr Me.
And what were yours again?
Man of Conviction, One You Want, and
Wouldn't Believe It.
Wouldn't
Wouldn't
Believe
believe it. Okay, it is just too hard for me, but I think I have to do Sympathy. It's literally one of my favorites.
If
ever.
I could do 4, I would add that.
Yeah, you can't. You're not allowed.
Okay.
Sorry, there's a.
We'll edit
We're
that
going to
out.
edit that out. Yeah.
There's a quota. Yeah, it's just cursing bleep. Sympathy is definitely the top for me. It's just one of my favorite songs ever. I think The One You Want. That's just a really freaking good song. Yeah.
What's 3?
Probably In Your Sea. It's a really good song, man. And especially those two back to back.
So you didn't go Man of Conviction.
I didn't, but it's one of the best opening tracks on any record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just that I think it feels like an opening track.
Right. Yeah.
And I could not listen to that song and then not hear the rest of the record if it was on my
Okay.
desert
Right.
island.
I like that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
No,
if that's
that's
on
a
a
good
play,
point.
I would
Well
never
put.
put that on a playlist.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Even though I love it. But like Sympathy, I'll like just play by itself all the time or throw it on a playlist or something like that. It's pretty great. Okay, what about do you got a stinker on here? Nobody's Perfect?
No.
Me
Not for me
neither.
either.
I would not
No.
I would not take 10 seconds off this record.
No,
I don't think.
note about it being a little long, notwithstanding. I'm
Right.
not kicking anything off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine. Okay, so what about oh, you know what? We did this wrong. Sorry. I'm sorry. I keep doing this. I've got my notes wrong. Anyway, we're doing them out of order this time. We're doing
all right.
awards
Who
first.
cares?
We can do whatever we want. It's
Yep.
our freaking
It's
podcast.
ours.
Grower, not a shower. Guys, do we have one of those?
That one's hard for me. I mean, I think How Long Is Too Long is a song that, because it's tucked so far down in there that I didn't recognize it as such a great song when I first heard it. Album, but now I think it's one of the better songs of the record.
Yeah.
So I mean, I liked it, but there was so much awesomeness back, like Kyle said, at the front. So
I think for me, it's kind of if this is a cheat, but it kind of is the back, not half of the record, because some of my favorite songs are on the back half, but it is kind of those last 4 songs, maybe.
Sure.
It's not that I didn't like them. It's just that, well, I mean, it's not maybe the last 4. I guess it's specifically the last 3. It's not that I didn't like them. It might really be the last 2. I don't know. It's just like the vibe of the last 3 tracks has grown on me more because they're not the melody songs.
yeah,
And you know I'm a melody guy, and they're not that. I mean, they've got good melodies and stuff in them too, but that's not the purpose of them or whatever. And so I think those last 3 tracks grew on me. I never didn't like them.
Yeah.
It's just that, especially now, I'm just like, yeah, I could never kick them off. Kyle, what about you?
No. I no. Everything showed on me.
Everything showed.
Yep. It all showed.
Yeah, and for the most part, like I said, I totally am with you, Chris. Just the feeling of being like, yes, they're back. Like I was gonna be very sad if I didn't get another good. And
I think we all knew it though, because we went out and bought it. Like we had no doubt. We were ready.
but I wonder if we'd heard anything. I don't remember hearing anything in advance of it. I know that we just went and got it.
No, I think we just
You
had
just
a
knew.
feeling.
You knew.
Because I mean, I like to Get Up Kids enough to like give them the benefit of the doubt.
Well, all the bands did that. You know, Saves the Day did the same thing after Reverie. You know, their next record was good.
Yeah.
With the
Yeah.
orange one, what's it called?
I forget, but it is good.
It is the orange one.
Yeah.
The orange
The
one.
Bones song on it. I like that.
Yep.
Bones. That song is good. Okay, let's now switch back to lasting impressions. Does it hold up? I think that's a dumb question, as it normally is when we do this, because it does. I think it doesn't. It's not dated.
Yep.
In fact, if it's dated at all, it sounds more like late 70s than it does early
Right.
2000s, which means it's evergreen,
Yeah.
in my opinion. Okay, is it their best album? This is a fun part, because it's hard, right?
No.
You saying where you something to write home about?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That album's a seminal. Am I using that word right?
They're so different.
No, yeah.
I agree.
I probably on Something to Write Home About was like, yeah, this is not their best record, but I think now maybe it is.
We can't
my
keep
favorite.
ourselves honest. I don't remember
Yeah.
what I said.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna say no.
I bet. Now I'm going to go back and listen to it. I bet I said what I'm going to say now, which is I think this is my favorite record of theirs.
You love this.
I
record.
love
It
this
hit you in a
record.
special way.
There's a couple things on Something to Write Home About that I don't love. Like, I can't think of what they are right now off the top of my head, but there's a few things.
The way
I'm
it
just like,
sounds.
well, no, it's not even just that, because that can be that's okay sometimes.
Can be
I
endearing
can
in
look
some
past the recording quality if the songs are great, and the songs are great on that record. To me, this one just has. If I'm measuring all the things, it sounds better. I think the playing's better. I think they're better as a band. I think his vocals sound better. He's a better singer. I think some of these songs are better than the songs. Like Sympathy's my favorite Get Up Kids song, probably. So I think I have to say this is my favorite. Although I will say that Problems album from 2019 is freaking solid.
I need to give
It
it
is
another listen.
really,
I remember enjoying
really,
it.
really good. It's got a couple great James Dewey songs on it. That I love. And so I was happy to get another kind of great Get Up Kids record, for sure. But I think this has to be my favorite. I think that I know that's like sacrilegious to say about Get Up Kids, because Something to Write Home About is like on everyone's top 10 best emo albums ever.
Right.
I think defining emo is complicated, because I would say this is not an emo album.
Correct.
I would, if I was trying to like pigeonhole the genre and say, okay, emo is X, Y, and Z, I would say that Something to Write Home About defines it better than this record does, because this feels more just like a rock.
There's probably
Pop.
more Something to Write Home About tattoos.
For sure. Maybe I should get a Guilt Show tattoo to try to even it up a little bit.
There we go.
Yeah.
We'd at least be. Then you'd have to get a 4 Minute Mile tattoo. We'd have the.
We could have all of them. I just think it. So I get people's argument in that sense. It's weird for me to not say, but I will say on the next question, is it their most important album? I am.
Yeah.
It's not, because Something to Write Home About is what got them and Vagrant and the genre. I mean, just the Vagrant part alone of Something to Write Home About is important for like all the other bands that I love that were on Vagrant. Because if that record doesn't do it, Vagrant might not exist. And Saves the Day and Dashboard Confessional and Hot Rod Circuit and all these bands that I loved listening to, maybe they exist, but like not in the way that we discovered them, and maybe not in the.
Well, even the mishmash of Vagrant bands like Koufax and what was the other one from The Anniversary? Yeah, there was so much that happened because of this band coming from Lawrence, Kansas.
Right. Yeah. Which is cool too for the middle of the country too. Yeah. I mean, for some dudes from the middle of the country, it was fun to have.
It was
this band from 5
Not
hours up the road.
from LA.
Yeah,
San
you don't
Diego,
have to
or New
be
Jersey.
from a coast. Lawrence had a great music scene. We loved playing Lawrence. It's got some great venues. It's got a lot of obviously players that play in every band that's on Vagrant.
That city just has a great vibe.
It's a cool college town.
One of the guys that played in our band ended up going to college there. Well, no, two. Yeah.
Yeah.
They loved it.
A lot of people
they
went
wouldn't
out
live there.
So yeah, it's like that's why I think that it makes me feel better. I know that sounds weird that I feel guilty about Guilt Show being my favorite Get Up Kids record, but it just feels like everyone goes, "What?" Like that's weird.
No, it's a good album.
It's fitting.
But Something to Write Home. Thanks.
Yeah.
But Something to Write Home About is definitely more important.
Yeah.
Like for all the different things that happen. What was
this? Is our soundboard.
There are certain people that can call me no matter what, and it automatically rings. I have it set to wake me up, so
don't worry about it. Well, that's it for us. Thanks for listening. Again, if you like what you hear, subscribe on, Spotify, on Apple Podcast, on YouTube now. We're putting these on YouTube, although getting past the playing the song clips on YouTube is a nightmare, guys. So you can watch the videos now on Spotify and YouTube. If you want to look at our ugly mugs, if you like to just listen, that's also fine too. We totally understand. You can rate, you can subscribe. We like those kind of things because they help this podcast be presented to more people. So if you know someone that likes it, tell them about it. And that's it for us. We will catch you next time.